Hey everybody, John Skiba here, and in this video I'm going to share with you something that's actually specific to Arizona laws related to bankruptcy. Often I don't do this, I keep things pretty general across the board, but as I practice law in Arizona, I wanted to share with people who are thinking of filing for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in the state of Arizona of why it might be a good idea to do it now in 2021 due to the fact that there was a new law passed, HB 2617 recently, that goes into effect on January 1st of 2022 that can have significant impacts on the ability to discharge or eliminate judgments that may have been entered against you in the past. But if this is your first time here to my YouTube channel, go ahead and click subscribe. That way you can be notified each and every week when I put out a new video that'll help you deal with your serious debt problem. One quick housekeeping thing, I just released over the weekend, many of you saw, and a lot of you have already actually purchased the new online tutorial that I put together related to winning debt collection lawsuits through the use of written discovery. This is a tool that's often underutilized by people, or incorrectly utilized, I should often say, when it comes to using discovery as a way to get your case thrown out. So I'll put a link down there in the notes to this, but it's a very powerful course if you're dealing with a lawsuit from a junk debt buyer, something that can help you out quite a bit. All right, so today I wanted to talk more about some bankruptcy things, and this is very Arizona specific. Like I said, I try to keep things pretty general, but there's a new law that was passed, even though the bankruptcy bar that I'm a member of, we put up a pretty good fight to try to get this thing defeated. But House Bill 2617 passed our local legislature. And kind of a side note, but something that is applicable to everyone. Often we think in politics, we think it's the federal government that controls so much of our day-to-day lives. It's actually your local legislatures. So many people really ignore what they're doing. They're the ones that have just a huge impact in our lives with day-to-day stuff. So what the law was in Arizona, in almost every state, there's what's called a homestead exemption. The homestead exemption is the law that protects your home. It protects equity in your home. There's usually a dollar amount assigned to it. But essentially it's this idea that it's good public policy to protect people's homes rather than letting people like junk debt buyers get judgments and then foreclose on people's homes to get those things paid. So Arizona's homestead exemption, his homestead protection to homes, basically said that if someone got a judgment, so let's say like a Midland Funding got a judgment against you, even if they recorded it with the county recorder, even though it acted as liens against real estate, it did not act as a lien against your homestead property. If you had a vacant land or a rental property, something like that, yeah, then it would act as a lien. But Arizona law for years, for decades, has been that the homestead protected your home from any type of judgment lien from a junk debt buyer or anybody else that may have happened to get a judgment against you. Well, the creditors bar, all these creditors attorneys, a lot of debt buyers attorneys, they got together and they lobbied and got this bill put in through the Arizona legislature that changed that. It's kind of they did it, I say it's kind of like a Trojan horse, because one thing they did is Arizona's homestead exemption right now protects up to $150,000 of equity. They increased that to $250,000, which made a lot of the local legislators really excited that that's a good idea. It was bipartisan. Both sides thought that was a good idea to raise it. But what they kind of hid in the fine print is that they basically gutted the homestead protection, because what it did is it eliminated the general rule in Arizona that judgment creditors, a judgment does not act as a lien against homestead property. So starting January 1st, 2022, if there's an old judgment out there that's been recorded against you, and this law is retroactive, by the way, I should throw that out there. So if there's a judgment, currently if you have a judgment against you that's been recorded with the county recorder, come January 1st of 2022, that judgment now becomes a lien on your property, even if it's homestead property. This has big implications, particularly for bankruptcy. If you're filing, usually, if you file Chapter 7 in Arizona and they have a judgment against you, the judgment is discharged. The amount of debt goes away. It's not attached to your house in any way. There's no lien. Starting January 1st, 2022, if you have a judgment that's against you, that judgment acts as a lien against the property, and it's either one, going to survive your bankruptcy and be a secured debt because there's now collateral attached to it, or two, your bankruptcy attorney is going to have to jump through a few more hoops to try to get that judgment lien voided. So to be clear, I mean, it's possible still to get rid of a judgment lien like that in bankruptcy in certain situations, but there's more work. It's going to be more expensive for people to go through that process. And so if you are on the fence at all about a Chapter 7, it's not bad, and this is Arizona again. If you're on the fence about whether you need to file Chapter 7 and you have judgments that have already been entered against you and you own a home, that's a recipe where you may want to look and see if it makes sense to get this thing filed, get your bankruptcy filed before the new year. Because if you wait until after the new year, it's going to be more complicated to try to get rid of those judgment liens. So again, very Arizona specific. And again, the broader picture, the broader message is pay attention to what your local legislatures are doing, because they can, like this one, they initially kind of snuck it through. Then all the bankruptcy attorneys, we became aware of it, and we started a campaign to try to defeat it, and we came a little bit short on that. But now it's the law, and so people are going to have to deal with it, and it's going to have huge impact against people who have judgments and who are homeowners. The Homestead exemption doesn't give you near the protection that it once did. So we do free consultations at my office for people who are in the state of Arizona who are looking to do file for bankruptcy. You can reach out to us, and we can at least evaluate your situation and let you know whether it's a good option or not. So again, I'll put the link down in the notes as far as the new tutorial that I put out there on how to use written discovery to eliminate your lawsuit. It's a very powerful and strategic, great tactics in there if you're representing yourself on how to deal with some of these junk debt buyer lawsuits. And with that, I appreciate you watching today.